And we back with another one, man. Come on, man. We up, man. Why that fuck that shit ain't? We up, man. Reacting to Mr. Nightmare. 3 disturbing true janitor horror stories, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, I think it might be the first horror story I ever seen about a janitor, bro. Or anything horror related with a janitor, man. But with no time wasted, finna dive into it, man. Gotta kick back, relax, and enjoy. First story about somebody anonymous. Let's go. You know my boy
I used to work as a custodian at a middle school for almost 5 years, and I was usually on the overnight shift. I would clock in around 10 at night and stay until right before the sun came up, when the buses started pulling in. At first, I actually liked the job. I didn't have to deal with the kids running down the hallways, teachers complaining about stuff, or anyone really. The quiet didn't bother me, and I liked being left alone to do my work. But as time went on, I started to notice how...
Bro, that's one thing about cleaning jobs, bro. A lot of people like to shit on it, bro. Me personally, bro, I would never talk bad on a custodian, bro. You feel me? I would never. They're the most important people to any job. You feel me? The most important people in any job. You feel me, bro? Without custodians, right, bro, it wouldn't be no job. It wouldn't be no job, bro. It's a fact. But one thing I like about that shit, right, bro, like, you can really be in your own fucking world, bro. You feel me? You don't gotta talk to nobody, bro. You can listen to music while you clean. Bro, that shit's so goddamn peaceful, bro. Like, you really don't have no bad days at work, bro.
Different the school felt at night compared to during the day. It wasn't just quiet, it felt dead. The building creaked and groaned like it was...
But like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm here for it, bro, but I would never be a custodian at a place, right, and it's only me there. Like, the only motherfucker there is me. Like, I would never do that shit at a school by myself at night, bro. Never at a hospital, bro. And nowhere, bro. Like, it has to be smack daytime, morning, afternoon, bro. I would never do that shit by myself, solo dolo at night, bro. Would never, bro. You asking for some shit to happen.
Breathing. And when you're the only person in there, even the smallest sound will set you on edge.
That's facts.
You'd hear a locker pop open on its own, or the pipes knocking in the walls, and your brain would make you think it was footsteps. I learned to ignore a lot of that, but one part of the school I never really got used to was the basement. The school was old, built in the 1950s, and the basement ran underneath half of it. It wasn't finished nicely like the classrooms. It was a concrete maze of storage rooms and long, narrow halls with pipes and wires hanging overhead. Some of the rooms were full of old desks, some had boxes of outdated textbooks, others had broken furniture stacked up. It always smelled damp and musty down there. The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered when they even worked at all. A lot of the time you had to bring a flashlight just to see where you were going. When I first started, one of the older custodians told me to avoid the basement unless I absolutely had to go down there. He said it wasn't worth the trouble and joked that it was haunted.
Heed that warning, bro. A motherfucker only got one time to tell me, bro. Hey, man, make sure you don't go in there, motherfucker, right there, bro. Make sure you don't go down there, bro. Make sure you don't go up there, bro. Trust me, bro. Unless you absolutely have to. Something ain't right about it. Even if I absolutely have to, I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it, bro. If you absolutely have to, bro. That means you're in a life-threatening situation, bro. You might as well deal with a life-threatening situation, bro. You're going to trade a life-threatening situation for a life-threatening situation, bro. You might as well deal with the shit you know what's going on. You feel me? I'm not finna trade a life-threatening situation for one. I don't know what the fuck for anything, bro. Look at that fucking hallway. I don't know what's down there. But I know what the fuck got me thinking about running down that bitch. You feel me? And bro, he go down there, bro. Natural selection, bro. If he step in that basement for any reason, bro, natural selection, bro.
I laughed along, but even in that first week, I noticed how uneasy I felt in that part of the building. It was like stepping into a different world compared to the bright hallways upstairs. There were nights when I would pass the door to the basement and feel a chill just from looking at it, but usually I didn't have to go down there, so I avoided it whenever possible. One night, about 2 years into the job, I had a list of tasks taped to my cart, and one of them was to bring up a set of folding chairs for an event. I groaned as soon as I saw it, because the only place those chairs were kept was the basement. I remember standing at the top of the basement stairwell door for a good minute, just debating if I could ask my super.
I wouldn't do it. I'll take the write up. I'll take the write up, bro. I'll take the write up. I'll take the scolding. I'll lie. I like, yo, bro, I had to leave during an emergency, bro. I'll make sure that's the last thing I had to do, right? And I had to leave, bro, so I couldn't even do it. Like, yeah, I would have lied, bro. Yeah, I'll take that right up, bro. I'll take that right up to the chin. Me, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, bro.
Supervisor if it could wait till morning, but I didn't want to look lazy, so I grabbed my flashlight and opened the heavy door.
Bro.
The stairwell echoed with every step I took, like my boots were way too loud. I got to the bottom and flipped the switch,
but how bad
but only a couple of the overhead lights came on. They left most of the hallway in darkness.
That could be dramatic.
I swear, it smelled like wet cement down there. I turned on my flashlight and started walking. The chairs were supposed to be in the second storage room on the left. The first room was full of old desks piled all the way to the ceiling. The second door was half rusted, and it squealed like nails on a chalkboard when I pulled it open. Inside, the room smelled like dust and wood polish. The folding chairs were stacked against the wall in uneven piles. I bent down and started pulling them out, trying to carry as many as I could at once so I wouldn't have to make so many trips.
Oh, hell no.
I had just picked up 4 when I froze. From somewhere out in the hallway, I heard a soft dragging sound, like someone was slowly sliding their shoe across the floor. I held my breath, still bent over with the chairs in my arms, listening as hard as I could. The sound stopped. I straightened up and peeked my head out into the hallway, shining the flashlight both ways. The beam cut through the dark, but there was nothing there. My heart was thumping in my ears. I stood there for what felt like forever before finally telling myself it was probably just the pipes, or maybe I had shifted a chair without realizing it.
No.
I carried the first load out into the hallway and toward the stairs.
I believe everything I hear, bro.
As I walked, I suddenly felt a cold draft.
I'm telling you, bro, I believe everything that I hear, bro. One thing about me, bro, I trust my senses, bro. Even though I may see some shit that may not be there. Even though sometimes, bro, optical illusion is a thing, bro. Like 99.9% of the time, bro. 100% of the time, I trust what I hear. 90% I trust what I see. You feel me? Like, bro, I trust all my senses, bro, because I know I'm not the type of nigga to tweak. I'm not the type of motherfucker that I'm not tweaking, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Like, bro, I'm not tweaking, bro. I'm not a tweaker. So I trust my senses, bro. So if I feel like it sounds like somebody walking or somebody sliding their feet, man, guess what it is? It's a motherfucker down that hallway sliding his fucking feet, bro. I'm telling you what the fuck it is, bro. I trust my senses, bro. 100%, bro. You got to. If you don't trust yourself, telling you, bro, something ain't right, man, bro, man, you got a problem. You don't love yourself. You don't know yourself. Your priorities fucked up.
Against my face. It was so out of place that it made me stop mid-step. The basement was always warm and stale, with no windows and no moving air. This felt like standing next to an open freezer. I shined my light up and down the hallway, but nothing looked different. I shook it off, set the chairs at the bottom of the stairs, and went back for more.
Oh, that's a ghost
When
story.
I walked into the storage room again, something felt off. The stack of chairs looked different somehow, like they had shifted while I was gone. I frowned at them, trying to remember exactly how they'd been leaning. I finally told myself I was just being paranoid and picked up another
natural selection, bro. Natural selection is all-time high, bro. Natural fucking selection, bro. Bro, let me come back, bro, and anything I know for a fact, bro, everything was left a certain way before I left. I come back and something is fucking moved differently. Bro, I'm leaving, bro. I really think I'm finna sit there and be like, nah, bro, maybe it's just my imagination. Nah, bro, I'm tweaking, bro. Maybe them chair was like that, bro. I'm just bugging. Bro, I'm getting the fuck out of there, bro. Cause, bro, you know how you left some shit, bro. If you say, damn, I don't think I left that shit right there, bro. Did I leave that shit like that? Bro, you know damn well you didn't leave that shit, bro. You know damn well you didn't leave that shit like that. If you gotta ask yourself that question, bro, if you gotta think about it, you ain't do it, bro. You ain't do it, bro. You gotta leave. I would have played that shit out so smooth. I would have took like 2 chairs, closed the basement door, and ran. I don't know, not run. Never run. Like I said in previous horror movie or horror story scenarios, bro. Never run. Never run, bro, if you feel like you're dealing with like a ghost or a spirit or a demon, bro. Them whole like pit bulls, bro. Them whole like dogs. You feel me? They not gonna chase you. That shit not gonna pop up, bro, till they see you run. They be like, okay, he on us now, bro. That's why he ran. Don't run, bro. Never fucking run, bro. Walk, bro. Calmly walk, bro. Act like, grab the chairs right, and act like you're walking to the classroom that need it. And walk to the classroom straight to the exit, right? And walk straight out that bitch, bro. Never go back. But if you run, yeah, your ass got, my boy. They finna have a field day with your ass. Woo, nigga, from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., they finna have a field day with your ass.
This time, as I turned to leave, I heard it again. A thump, followed by a scraping sound. It came from farther down the basement hallway. My flashlight beam shook in my hand as I aimed it that way. About 20 feet down, one of the classroom doors that should have been closed tight was cracked open. My stomach dropped. I knew I hadn't touched that door. The school was locked up every night, and no one was supposed to be there except me. I stood frozen in the doorway of the storage room, staring at that cracked door. Every part of me screamed to drop the chairs and run upstairs, but I just stood there. I told myself maybe the door had come loose, or maybe when I opened another door the air pressure had shifted. I clung to those excuses like a lifeline. I carried the chairs quickly to the stairwell, then came back with my flashlight in one hand, empty-handed this time. The cracked door was still there, open just enough for someone to peek out. My throat went dry. I crept toward it slowly.
That's not a fucking crack, bro. Bro, that word of my fucking aunts, bro. That's not a fucking crack, bro. That bitch is bust wide open, bro. That's not a crack, bro. A crack is like... A crack is like that, bro. That's a crack. This right here, boy, that shit is wide fucking open, bro. What the fuck you mean it's a crack enough for somebody to peek? Bro, if I'm in that situation, and all the doors are fucking closed, I come back down, I see that. Bro, first off, bro, I'm gonna be paralyzed in fear. I'm a real nigga, bro. I'm real, bro. I'm not one of them fake ass motherfuckers on the internet, bro, that be like, they think they fucking Master Bruce. They think they motherfucking goddamn Green Lantern with 1,000% willpower, bro. They think they fucking Clark Kent, bro. No, bro. I'm a real nigga, bro. I am human, bro. I am a human, bro. Like, no human's gonna see that predicament, bro, and not freeze up. Bro, I'm telling you, bro. I would feel so like, bro, being paralyzed with fear is such a real fucking thing, bro. Like, once your brain, like, bro, it's like, how can I explain it? It's like your brain get hit with so many terrifying ass, fucked up ass thoughts and scenarios about what you just witnessed, bro, but it just paralyzed your ass. Like, your ass just get paralyzed just looking at it. Like, cause you don't know what the fuck going on, bro. And the fact that you don't know what the fuck is going on, bro, that shit gonna paralyze your ass, bro. Yeah, that should have paralyzed me, bro, for like a good little 3 minutes. Like, I'm talking about, bro. The fact that nigga say that shit cracked open, bro, like that shit that bust wide fucking open, bro. Bro, you gotta watch a motherfucker like that. You gotta watch a motherfucker like that, bro. Somebody will tell your ass, nah, man, it's not even a lot. It's a little. and bam, that shit. Like some motherfucker that downplay the situation. You gotta watch out for people that downplay the situation, bro. You got to, bro. They'll be the one to get you got.
Each step echoing. When I was close, I called out, "Hello, anyone down here?"
Oh, you walked
My
up
voice
to it?
cracked, and it sounded small in the big empty basement. No answer. I swallowed hard, then pushed the door open fast with my free hand and shined the flashlight inside. The room was empty. Just shelves of dusty science equipment, boxes stacked high, cobwebs in the corners.
Are you brave?
I stepped inside for a second, heart racing, listening for
You
any
either really
sound.
brave or you really
That's when I heard it again. A dragging shuffle. But this time it was behind me in the hallway. I spun around and pointed the flashlight, with the beam cutting down the corridor. Nothing. Just shadows and concrete. But I felt it. That heavy pressure you get when you know you're being watched. My skin prickled all over. I didn't care about the chairs anymore. I backed up slowly, keeping the flashlight aimed down the hallway, and made my way toward the stairwell. When I got to the stairs, I grabbed the chairs I'd left and carried them up 2 steps at a time. I didn't stop until I was back in the main hallway upstairs, gasping for breath. I leaned against the wall, sweating even though the school was cold. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe it had been rats or water pipes, but I couldn't explain the cracked door. I locked the stairwell door behind me, even though I wasn't.
I ain't gonna lie to you, I thought he was gonna hear like, I thought he'd say, yo, I backed up slowly, bro, and then I heard somebody running at my ass. That's usually how them fucking stories go, bro. Mr. Nightmare stories go. Or the people that submit the stories to him, right? I swear to God, bro, they be like, yeah, I just back up slowly, man. All they hear is a motherfucker picking up dust towards their ass. I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty. Now this pretty calm. This pretty calm. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like you really got, out of all the stories I heard so far, you really got the lightest one, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna say you got the lightest one. Nah, I don't think you got the lightest one. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. It's like you traded a scary moment for a scary ass environment. You feel me? Cause sometimes, bro, you don't need something actually scary to happen, bro. Just the fact the place that you're in can be equally as scary as a scary moment. Like somebody chasing your ass, or you find out somebody looking at your ass. Bro, being somewhere fucking scary, bro, in a school by yourself, in a basement by yourself, in a school, will be equally as scary as some terrifying shit happening, bro.
Supposed to, and I didn't go back down for the rest of the night. A week later, I was mopping the hallway right above the basement stairs when I heard it again. 3 loud bangs, evenly spaced, like someone hitting the wall with their fist. The mop slipped out of my hand, water dripping onto the tiles. I froze and listened. Then I heard the basement door rattle like someone had shoved it from the other side. My blood went cold. I didn't open it. I stood there, gripping the mop handle until the sound stopped. After that, I refused to go down into the basement alone. If anything needed to come up, I'd wait until another custodian was there. I never told the others what I heard, because I knew they'd either laugh or tell me it was the so-called ghost. But I know what I felt, and I know what I heard. To this day, when I think about those slow dragging footsteps behind me, I feel sick to my stomach.
Okay, that was a good one. That was a good one. That was a 9 out of 10. I fuck with that.
I worked as a custodian at a high school for 3 years. I was the newest guy on the team, so most of the time I got stuck with the overnight shifts. The building was huge, 4 floors and 2 gyms, and at night, when it was empty, it felt like a giant maze.
Yeah, that's a big ass school.
The rule was to go floor by floor, room by room, turning off lights, emptying trash, and locking doors. It usually took the whole night to cover everything, and if you tried to rush, you'd miss something. One Friday night, I was working alone because one of the other custodians had called out sick. Normally, we worked in pairs, so I wasn't used to being the only one on duty. At first, the shift was normal. I started on the first floor, emptying trash cans, wiping down surfaces, and mopping the hallways. The lights in some of the old corridors flickered, which made the shadows jump around.
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I would have called my homeboy, bro. I would have called my homeboy. Not my home. I wouldn't call my homegirl, bro. I'd be on the phone with her, but like at the physical place, nah, bro. Cause like one thing about like, I know you like, bro, why the fuck you call your homeboy, not your homegirl, to come pull up? Cuz, bro, like your homegirl will have you tripping, bro. Like, I ain't like, bro. Like bringing a female in a horrifying environment, bro. Like, bro, is fucking. I would never recommend. I would never do that, bro. Cause they gonna get the tweak. You don't understand, bro. Yeah, you do understand how scary they is, bro. They scary as fuck. And imagine being in a fucking school by yourself, bro. What you think gonna happen, bro? If you're already at ease, you already like you're not like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you already feel like suspicious of the place, right? You kind of not at ease about it, bro. You feel the type of way about it. Ain't bring a motherfucker that's paranoid, terrified, that's talking about, oh my God, I ain't finna do this shit. This shit scary. Somebody could kill her, bro. What do you think they gonna do to you, bro? They gonna have your ass tweaking. You feel me? If you're about to tweak, ain't bring a motherfucker that's gonna tweak, nigga. You're gonna tweak, bro. You bring somebody that gonna like who ain't gonna tweak, who you can chop it up with. You feel me? Talk about everything but ghosts and shit, right? Or if y'all do hear some shit, they be like, man, you bugging, bro. Ain't shit, we good. You feel me? They gonna keep you in a stoic mindset. You feel me? But we bring a female, bro, you're not gonna be in no stoic mindset, bro. But like having a female on the phone with you, it's the equivalent of working with your homeboy. Because I don't know why, bro, but on the phone, females are the most logical, most stoic motherfucker, bro. You feel me, bro? They feel as a fuck on the phone. You feel me? You'll be going through the most terrifying shit. But a shorty on the phone gonna talk to your ass like she a fucking FBI operative on the phone giving your ass orders to stay alive. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? If you know, you know.
But I told myself it was just the building settling.
It was not the building, bro.
Around midnight, I made my way up to the 3rd floor. That floor always gave me a bad feeling because it was quieter than the others. It had a lot of older classrooms that weren't used anymore, some permanently locked, and others were just storage rooms filled with dusty books, broken furniture, and old lab equipment. As I walked down the hallway, I passed the lockers. The metallic click of the doors and the echo of my boots against the tiles made me jump a few times. I kept reminding myself it was normal. I was halfway through mopping one of the main hallways when I noticed a door about 20 feet away was open. That struck me immediately because I had already checked all the rooms earlier in the evening, and every door had been locked. My first instinct was to walk past it quickly and ignore it, but something made me stop. I set my mop against the wall and walked over slowly, trying to make as little noise as possible. The door was one of those old wooden classroom doors with a square glass window.
Yeah.
I pushed it open slowly, shining my flashlight inside. The room looked empty. The desks were stacked along the walls and boxes were in the corners. Nothing seemed out of place at first glance, but then I noticed that one of the boxes near the back wall had been moved. It was tilted, not lined up with the others, and there were scuff marks on the floor, like it had been dragged across the tiles. My stomach sank. I knew I had closed that door earlier, and I knew I hadn't moved that box. I told myself it was probably nothing, just my imagination playing tricks on me.
How the fuck you come up with sound logical explanation explaining to yourself that, damn, bro, I locked that door. The door open. That box was not right there, bro. And that shit got dragged into the corner, bro. Nah, it's my imagination, bro. Yeah, even though I know I did none of this shit, I'm the only one here that been here. I ain't do none of it. I acknowledged that, hey, man, some shit went down. I'm going to tell myself, it's just my imagination. Yeah, bro, natural selection, bro.
Me because I was tired.
Selection, bro.
I pulled the door closed and went back to mopping, but my mind kept wandering to that room.
Because you know you
I kept
ain't doing
thinking
it.
I should check the windows. Maybe a student had snuck in somehow. But all the windows were locked from the inside, and the hallway doors were locked as well. I tried to shake the feeling of being watched and focused on the cleaning. After finishing that hall,
You know what I would have did? You know what I would have did right? To catch a motherfucker right. You know what I would have did right? But I would have took some cleaning fragrance, right? Like some slippery ass shit, right? And I would have put that shit all in that hallway, bro. Cause I would have made that bitch a slip and slope, bro. And I would have been down. I would have been like like not downstairs, right? But I would have made it seem like I'm off the floor, right? I would have been on the stairs from the second floor, right? And I would have just been waiting for a motherfucker to walk and creep and then slip and bust their ass. And then I would have just ran. I mean, ran, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That shit terrifying, bro. Like once you hear somebody fall, right, you have undeniable proof that somebody is up there, bro. And that's not the terrifying part, bro. The terrifying part, bro, it's on the third floor. It's on the third floor. So I don't know how the stairs are set up. You feel me? So you have to run downstairs. And they're gonna hear you run. There's no subtleness about it, bro. There's no discreetness about it, bro. You're in an empty school, bro. You already said every footstep you take echoes. They're gonna bust their ass. They gonna get pissed. They gonna hear you running, and they gonna chase after your ass. So you got a nigga chasing after your ass, right? And depending on how the stairs is, right, you could have to walk across the hallway to the stairs. Being's on the third floor. So you got a third floor, second floor, first floor. Bro, you have to run down 3 floors to get the fuck out. And depending on how the stairs is, right, it could be a hallway, stairs, then hallway out. Or it could be like the stairs, like it's 3 flights of stairs that lead to every hallway. If it's that, you're good. You feel me? If it's like all the stairs to all the floors are just one, you good, bro. Because the time you pick his ass up and the time you moving, you out the building. But if it's not like that, bro, if it's hallway, stairs, hallway, yeah, my boy. Ain't like that's gonna be the most terrifying moment of your fucking life, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Man, everything all dark and shit, bro. Yeah, man. That's the shit I wish on my worst enemy, bro.
Hallway. I went down to the stairwell to head to the second floor.
That's what I would have did.
As I walked past that same classroom again, my heart nearly stopped. The door was wide open. My breath caught in my throat. I knew I had shut it before. I slowly stepped closer. I peeked inside, and the room looked normal, except the box was now moved to the center of the floor. My pulse was racing. I whispered, "Hello? Who's in here?" My voice sounded tiny in the emptiness of the building. I waited, but there was silence. And then from the back of the room, I heard slow, deep breathing. Not a gust of wind or a pipe. It was someone trying to be quiet, but making sure I could hear it. I tried to convince myself it was a student hiding, playing a prank. But how would they have gotten in? I was the only one who was supposed to be there, and all the doors were locked. I slammed the door shut and ran down the hallway to the stairwell. My heart was hammering, and sweat ran down my back. I stayed pressed against the stairwell door, listening. I debated calling my supervisor, even though I hated bothering him in the middle of the night.
Man, nigga, fuck!
Finally.
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm blowing that nigga phone up. I'm blowing that shit the fuck up, bro. I'm blowing it up with either I quit, or call the cops, bro. I'm blowing that bitch the fuck up. I mean, blowing that bitch the fuck up, bro. And if I found out the nigga that was supposed to work with me right, or shorty, whoever the fuck supposed to work with me right, wasn't sick at all, they ain't want to come to work, I'll beat their ass, bro. I'm talking about straight. I'm a slumping shit, bro. That motherfucker said, what, bro? Here's the thing, right? I have very active imagination. I have a very active imagination. So if you tell me anything, bro, like I'm going to envision myself in that predicament, bro, down to the fucking T. As if I'm in your shoes, bro. So I'm hearing them like, bro, I'm in your fucking shoes, bro. I'm telling you, bro, I would have blew the supervisor shit up, bro. I would have blew that shit up, bro. I would have blown that shit the fuck up, bro. I was talking about, bro, people be putting other motherfuckers before themselves, bro. You gotta stop putting people before yourself. For real, that should've killed your ass.
I did. When he picked up, I told him what was happening, trying to keep my voice steady. He said he would be there in 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes felt like hours. I stayed as far away from that room as possible, peeking over my shoulder every few seconds. Finally, he arrived. We went back up together. He had a big flashlight and walked straight into the classroom. The box was still in the middle of the floor. We checked everywhere, the closets, under the tables, behind the desks. There was nothing. He suggested I was just tired or imagining things. I didn't argue, but I knew what I had heard. That slow, heavy breathing. I tried to finish.
Let me tell you something, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I would have cussed that nigga the fuck out, bro. I would have cussed him the fuck out, bro. I would have been like, bro, dude. I said, what? I would have been like, bro, what the fuck you just say to me? Hey, when I get mad, right? At first, I'm gonna say, what the fuck you just say to me? Ah, mad shit, bro. Why the fuck would I? I've been here 2 years. I've been here 2 years. Years. I have never imagined shit, bro. And I tell you, bro, what the fuck that's happened to me, bro. Hey, you talking about some? No, you got some imagining shit, bro. I'm like, bro, I ain't like, bro, I would have slapped his ass. I would have cussed his ass the fuck out, bro. I would be like, bro, move, knock all this shit down, bro. Look around the room, bro. Look at the vents, bro. We checking this whole floor right now, bro. We checking this whole floor. I'm imagining shit, bro. And you saw what you saw, and you like, yeah, you probably right. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I would have knocked his ass out too. Some motherfucker deserve it, bro. Like, some people just deserve this shit, bro. Like you're blatantly stupid, bro. Like whoever in the predicament, bro, you really deserve, whoever like wrote this story, right, and submitted that shit in, right, bro, you truthfully deserve this shit, bro. You truthfully deserve that bitch, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You not like the first guy. You're nothing like the first guy. The first guy had common sense. You feel me? He had a little bit of, he had the most common sense, but he got more than you, buddy. Oh my God, bro. You are a fucking idiot. Like, how stupid can you be, bro? To not, at first off, bro, you go in a bitch. First off, you notice the door was open when you closed that shit. Then you notice the boxes were moving when you ain't move it. You acknowledge that shit. Came to the conclusion, man, that was not you. No way it could have been you. And you tell yourself just your imagination. You close the door back, come back later on, see the door bust wide open and the box move to the center of the floor. And you hear somebody fucking breathing. So you're acknowledged. Now this is undeniable proof. It wasn't your ass, bro. That's a motherfucker in that bitch. Bro, you run. Tell your supervisor. They come back 20 minutes later and say, man, maybe that's your imagination. You were like, yeah, you're right. Maybe it was my imagination. You are a fucking idiot. You are a fucking idiot, bro. An imbecile.
Finished the rest of my shift with him there, but I kept glancing at that classroom. The hallway felt colder and more oppressive than ever. Even sweeping and mopping didn't distract me. Every time I passed a locker, I expected it to swing open. Every shadow seemed like a person standing just out of view. Weeks later, when I worked with another custodian, he told me that years ago, a student had been caught hiding in that classroom overnight. They had snuck in to play a prank, but it scared the staff so much that they never used that room again. It made sense, but it didn't explain the breathing I heard that night. There was no one else in the school. I finished the shift and left, but every time I thought about it, my stomach twisted. I started taking extra precautions. I made sure all the doors were locked as I passed. I kept my flashlight pointed at the floor and stayed near the stairwell if I had to pass that hallway. Months later, I had another overnight shift alone. I avoided that third floor for as long as possible. When I finally had to go up, I moved as quickly as I could. I kept thinking I'd hear it again. The feeling of being watched didn't go away. Even when I was in a room far from that classroom, I felt like eyes were on me. Every creak of the floor made me jump. I finished the shift and left quickly, never looking back. I refused to work that floor alone again. Even years later, I avoided it whenever I could. I never found out if it had been a student hiding or something else, but I'll never forget.
Are they ghost stories? Yeah, I ain't like, yeah. They need ghost stories. I know what? I was expecting it to be like the rest of the story where you just find out there's some deranged man hiding in the boxes or living downstairs in the basement, bro. Now these are horror stories. Oh, not obviously horror stories, but these are ghost stories. Hmm. Okay, my friend. Okay.
Get the sound of that breathing coming from a classroom that should have been empty. I can still hear it in my head sometimes.
Oh, see, I think it's first one to drop her name.
I worked as a night custodian at an old high school for 2 years.
God
The worst
damn,
part of the
type of
job was
auditorium
always
that
the
is.
auditorium. It was massive, with 3 levels of seating, a big stage, and long heavy curtains that hung from the ceiling. During the day, it looked normal, but at night, when the building was empty, it felt like stepping into a completely different place. Even with the lights on, there were shadows in every corner that seemed darker than they should be. Sound carried strangely in there. If you dropped a broom, the echo would stretch and bounce, making it hard to tell exactly where the sound came from. Most nights, I saved the auditorium for last because I hated going in there. There was just something about it that always made my skin crawl. Near the end of winter one year, I had to clean it earlier than usual because there was going to be a play the next morning. I arrived around midnight, dragging my cart behind me. The side door creaked loudly as I opened it, and when it slammed shut behind me, the echo traveled across the empty room. I started by sweeping the aisles between the seats. The chairs were old, metal folding seats bolted to the floor in some rows, and in other rows, they were loose. As I pushed the broom, I listened to the scraping sound echo off the walls and ceiling. After a few minutes, I thought I heard something else. It was faint at first, like a soft rustling from the stage. I froze, thinking maybe a prop had fallen over, but when I looked, the stage was empty. I shook my head and told myself it was nothing. I continued sweeping. A few minutes later, I heard it again. This time it was more distinct, the sound of slow footsteps across the stage. I stopped sweeping and looked toward the stage. I could see the stacked props in the corners. Nothing moved, but the sound was real. My breathing became shallow. I slowly climbed the steps onto the stage, shining the flashlight behind the curtains. There were ropes, pulleys, old chairs, and painted scenery stacked against the walls.
And a fucking skeleton!
Everything was covered in dust, and the beam of
Nigga say, yeah, ain't nothing back there but fucking props and shit, bro. Nigga, it's a whole fucking demonic ritual right there, bro. That's the skeleton of a the skeleton of a little girl, bro. Look at that shit, bro. Look at this shit, bro.
my light made it dance like it was moving. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was nearby. I backed off the stage, telling myself it was just the building settling, maybe a mouse in the rafters, but the feeling didn't go away. I continued sweeping down the aisles, trying to finish as fast as possible. My mind kept going back to the stage. The sound of those slow footsteps repeated in my head, even though I couldn't hear them anymore. I finished sweeping the lower level and started mopping. As I pushed the mop through the rows, I thought I saw a shadow move across the second tier of seats. I moved my flashlight toward the seats, but nothing was there. I tried to tell myself it was a trick of the light. I kept my back to the wall as I moved, feeling as if someone were behind me. I had nearly finished mopping the main floor when I heard it again. A whisper. I couldn't make out words, but it was low, and it was coming from the balcony seats above me.
Echo.
My heart was now hammering, my flashlight's beam trembling in my hands. I wanted to run, but I didn't. I had to finish the job. I told myself it was someone outside.
How much they paying you, bro? How much they paying you, bro, to sit there, bro, and finish the job? How much, bro? How much, bro? Because I don't think it's enough, bro. My own personal guess, it's not enough, bro. To have something whispered in your something whispered in your fucking ear, bro. He was like, I wanted to run, but I had to finish the job. Bro, over a play, you're never going to fucking attend, bro. You're never going to be there. You're never going to be there, bro. You're never going to be there, bro. And you like, fuck it, bro. I got work to do. Natural selection, bro. Natural fucking selection, bro. You deserve it, bro. You deserve it. I have no sympathy for you, bro.
Or maybe a janitor who had forgotten something, but I knew I was alone. I kept mopping slowly, my ears straining. The whispering continued, almost like it was moving closer. I tried calling out, but I was so nervous that my voice sounded weak. There was no answer, only the echo of my voice. I finished mopping the main floor and started cleaning the stage itself. The steps up felt endless, and every time I moved my flashlight, I thought I saw something just at the edge of the beam. Sometimes it was a flicker of a shadow, sometimes it was just my imagination. When I reached the stage, I looked over the edge of the main floor. The seats stretched back in the darkness. I shined the flashlight into the balcony, and for a moment, I thought I saw a figure sitting there. Just a silhouette. But when I blinked, it was gone. I told myself it was a chair or a coat, but the feeling didn't leave me. I started dusting and moving props, trying to focus on something physical. The whispering came again, much clearer this time. It sounded like someone speaking my name, almost directly behind me. I spun around so fast that the flashlight slipped in my hands. The stage was empty. Nothing. The props were still stacked in the same place, and the curtains didn't move. But I knew I hadn't imagined the voice. I backed away slowly, with my heart racing, and I moved toward the side door. I stopped at the edge of the stage and listened. I could hear soft footsteps on the upper levels, moving slowly across the balcony. I told myself it was impossible. The auditorium was locked. No one else should have been there. The footsteps continued, stopping and starting as if someone were pacing and watching me. I finally ran to the door, grabbed the handle, and pulled it open. The cold night air hit me like a wall, and I felt relief, but I could still hear the faint echo of footsteps above, fading away slowly. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely lock the door behind me.
See, I'm a gaslighting ass nigga. First off, bro, I would never be in these. Wait, let me let him finish, bro.
I leaned against it, catching my breath, feeling the sweat running down my forehead. I didn't go back inside that night. The next morning, I tried to tell another custodian about what happened, and he laughed at me, saying it's an old building and probably just settles or something. But I'm not convinced. That whispering voice and my name being called so softly and deliberately, and the footsteps pacing above me, I felt them in the air around me. Weeks later, I learned that years ago, a drama teacher had died suddenly in that auditorium during rehearsal. Heart attack right on stage in front of students. People said sometimes you could still hear him walking the stage at night, or hear whispers in the seats. I tried to convince myself it's just a story, that the sounds were normal for an old building. But the way that voice whispered my name and the footsteps echoed, I could never forget it. Maybe I was going crazy, I don't know. After that night, I refused to clean the auditorium. I quit that job not long after, but sometimes, even when other people were in the building, I would feel the same cold pressure in the auditorium, and feel that same way about being watched. I know what I experienced was real, at least real to me. I've never had any kind of schizophrenic episodes or anything like that, so this whole thing still just baffles me to this day.
See, out of all the stories, right? Her story would have got. Her solution was, only thing she needed was a JBL speaker, bro. If she had a speaker, bro, and she was just vibing out loud, bro, her shit would have been straight, bro. You feel me? Like, you're not dealing with no basement. You're not dealing with no classroom. You clean up an auditorium, bro, with echo and this shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like, sometimes, bro, when we come dealing with ghosts, bro, sometimes you gotta gaslight that shit, bro. Sometimes you gotta gaslight a ghost, cause a ghost, like, entities got the same energy as a petty motherfucker. You feel me? What I'm trying to say is, right, they only fuck with you, right, when they know that they can fuck with you. You feel me? But if you really honestly do not give a fuck and you do not care, like, you just nonchalant and you don't care, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's a ghost, whatever. And you go back and play your playlist, you got a speaker out loud and shit, right? You got blasting your speaker. They gonna leave you alone. Like, oh, this nigga he don't even care, bro. He don't care. I'm not finna waste my energy, bro, or my time. But if you in that bitch panicking, you scared and shit, bro, I think it is, bro. I think ghosts, demons and shit, bro, I think they feed off the energy, bro. Whatever energy, whatever energy you give off when you're scared, terrified, or in complete fear and shock, whatever energy you're letting off, that either they either feed off that shit, that either gives them power, or that shit either antagonizes their ass. You know how you get a whooping by your mama, and if you cry, they make that like you ever get whooped by your mom or your parents, right? And you cry, and they get mad, like, man, shut your ass up if I give you something to cry about. After getting you something to cry about, I feel like it might be like some shit like that, bro. Like, even though they causing your ass to be scared and shit, the fact that you scared for to make them mad. It might be some shit like that, bro. But like, nothing happens to a motherfucker. Man, acknowledge it, bro, and just don't care. Nothing never happens to that motherfucker, bro. All that weird shit stop and go out the window. That's all I'm saying there, bro. I would have got Mr. Speaker. I would have been vibing, bro. I wouldn't even care, bro. I wouldn't even care, bro. With that, we out of here, man. Yeah, I'll catch y'all niggas next time, man. Yeah, I'm going to goddamn.